I'm Andy Grush. I'm one of the Newton brothers.
And I'm Taylor Stewart.
We're going to take you behind the main title of X-Men 97. The way we were brought into this project was first through the music supervision team.
And we were both very, very excited because, I watched the original series as a kid.
To see it come off of the page and onto the TV, we all know that feeling.
As a kid on Saturday mornings, I would hear the theme song and I would always get super duper pumped up. We went through the original series. It was sort of like a time capsule going back and sort of re-experiencing. So it was great from a fan perspective and also as, getting involved in the composition side.
Yeah, and it was real dense too, which is fun musically,
Yeah, it was very dense.
There's like a lot going on with the story, but then a lot going on musically. There's lots to grab onto and a lot of interesting sounds. For Taylor and I, we wanted to sort of explore where that could go. Ron was using a lot of technology that nowadays, it's just so easy for us to even to get an analog synth to sync up is much easier. But to be able to hear that technology back in that time was really pretty exciting. So we did, how many versions?
7 or 8 versions. The idea was just to take it to different styles, modernize it, to see sort of where we landed. We're more invested, I feel like, because we grew up like a lot of the fans, being a fan ourselves. I think there was that scrutiny of the score as we were going through it. Obviously, when the fans were super happy, that's a good feeling versus the fear of them saying how much they hate it and why did you ruin this character and why is this ruined? And that's obviously the nightmare.
We were told that the main title would kind of stay in this exact same ballpark. So we didn't want to change the timing. And then when we got into it, it came down to sort of piecing together the rhythm section to start with. An interesting thing we discovered was that having some sounds that by themselves don't necessarily sound like something you'd ever use go nicely with things that would. So for example, this bass is probably a bass sound that I don't think we'd ever use, but it has a nice attack to it. And when you add in a modern synth, it starts to have a little flavor to it. Within that, it was okay, let's kind of bulk that up even more, just to give it and then comes in this this piano that was famous in the 80s. Another important sound that we spent a lot of time on is this glissando. Let's see, is this the track right here? That. So we did that probably 100 times with every synthesizer in this studio. We did it with digital synthesizers. The first time we played that sound, it was definitely not, no.
Because a lot of the modern sounds of that era too could come across maybe silly, if it's not done in the right way. And I think we didn't want to make this feel obviously silly, we wanted to honor it properly. So hence we went through several variations and versions.
Here's the lead line with the synth playing the lead line and the little glissando with our fun. We were confused as to whether or not we were calling that the chorus or the verse, but in our case we call it the verse even though it's probably the chorus. All right, so this is Nili Brosh playing this guitar. And you can hear it really adds an element where if you just have, that's a very modern version of it. This is just the demo orchestra before the live orchestra, and you can kind of hear
I think the orchestra, adding the human nature to it is such a vital importance to this show because there's so many synthesizers, there's so much drum machines, there's so much of that. But at the same time, we had to really get the orchestra not to be so, they approached it very much originally a little stiff, a little more of a classical, actually with virtuosity and what you'd want out of amazing players. Our orchestrator, Mark Graham, he kind of went in and got them to relax, try some things, and that really gave it a little bit more of space and not so on the click. But then after that, it was more of a rock band with an orchestra.
And then it's just about like being very big with things, even from the rhythmic standpoint. It's very just like no frills, in your face. And this sort of sets the rhythm of it. Like, and we talked about, let's get our buddy to play double kick on this, but a lot of it is that it's kind of like mechanics. So strangely, like the sample works well just hitting on that double kick. Let's see, and then of course, yeah, we're pretty sure that there are orchestra chimes throughout the, like, we'll call it the triplet section in the original that are kind of like buried in the mix. We opted to just go with the one on the end so that it was like very impactful. Here's the sound by itself.
But the fans, for some reason, have an absolute love for this particular sound.
There it is in all its glory.
Tubular
and when
bell.
you throw it in there with everything else, it's like, it worked.
I think I read
really
somewhere
nice.
someone wanted us to add more of that back into it, which I thought was super funny. But yeah, people love that sound.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many little, let me see here. This is like sort of some distorted. It's just adding aggression.
And I think a lot of it too is thickening up and doubling the orchestra, doubling up different parts and pieces. We did use this theme throughout the show and slowed down, sped up, different variations and tempos, mainly sort of to honor how the show runs and starts and begins. But we did play this amazing theme that Ron did in several places, yeah. I remember one of the days we were sort of having a feedback and we were talking to one of the execs, Brad. I didn't know him yet, and I remember seeing all these sort of X-Men like figurines behind him and like all this stuff. He's such a fan of the show, and so was Bo and like everybody, and it really helped, I think, bouncing out ideas because everyone really loves the material, and we're all super nerds, and it helps because we want to capture what the fans want, so I think that helps. Seeing the final animation and the sort of the fans' reaction was super impactful. You don't really understand it until you sort of see it in that setting.
Yeah, to not hear the main title when it starts because people are cheering so loud was like
That was
awesome.
That was fantastic.
Like, yeah, it's pretty fun.